words of tribute, comfort and commiserations continue to flow for the late, much revered EWN Associate Politics Editor Tshidi Madia. Madia passed away in hospital on Wednesday after a brief illness. She was 42. Her passing has left the media industry reeling and triggered an outpouring of respect and fond reflections from societal leaders across the board. To pay tribute to the seasoned journalist, I'm joined now in studio by Madia's colleagues, EWN Deputy Editor Zikhona Miso and EWN Sub Editor Gogo Vulisango, as well as joined virtually by the SANEF Deputy Chairperson Tshamano Makhadi. So for those of us who work in the industry, we know instantly who Tshidi Madia was. But I get the sense that, many people came to really know of her, having encountered her work, but in many instances not attaching face to the work. But that seemed to have changed radically a few months ago when President Ramaphosa went to Washington and the South African media cohort that was there found themselves in the center of the storm in terms of the story that was being told. So just to remind you who Tshidi was, just take a look at this clip of an interview that she undertook that really, shall we use the words, went viral, but it earned her even more respect back here at home in South Africa, just in terms of how she stood up for the truth and insisted that the truth, the South African story, be told with all truth and honesty, warts and all. Take a look at this.
Being targeted, or white farmers are not being killed. Why are so many who have big land holdings willing to give up their entire lives to come to America?
Where are they? Show them to me.
We had them land.
Those 49 people are not farmers. There are plenty of reports from South Africa that many of those are not farmers. Those are chances. Please, again, show me the evidence. Those are people taking an opportunity. America's giving them an opportunity.
You're saying
they're not farmers.
I'm just trying to figure this out. You're saying that your president has not in any way targeted whites, even though Elon Musk, who was there, can't get a license for his business.
He was where?
In the Oval Office.
He was in the Oval Office. He's never been to South Africa. When was the last time Elon Musk was in South Africa?
But he can't get.
When was the last time he was in South Africa? His father, Elon Musk's father.
I'm not talking about when he was there.
No, hold on. I want to also make you understand one thing.
The accusation is that many whites cannot get licenses to do business, among them Elon Musk.
So we're being forced to undermine our transformative laws. We must be okay with a South Africa with the majority that is denied of their own land, with the majority is deprived of access to economic transformations and means of production. We must be okay and not move the needle in any way to try and fix that. We must be okay with South Africa being labeled the most unequal country in the world and not trying to do anything to rectify that.
Yeah, that was vintage Tshidi Madia out there in Washington holding her own in that debate. Let's bring it back to studio. Zikhona Miso and Gogo Vulisango from EWN joining me now, and Tshamano Makhadi joining us virtually. Let me start with you, Gogo, and I'll ask you all the same question. Why do you believe the passing on of Tshidi has resonated as much as it has? Were you surprised by it all? The outpouring of respect, of love, and commiserations from all quarters?
It was definitely not a surprise that tributes have been pouring in, because she's really cemented herself in politics, in South African journalism, because she was one person who pushed the envelope, and she would take chances. She's very bold, and sometimes she can come across as intimidating, but she's the sweetest person ever. So Tshidi is very easy with people generally, and she gives of herself. She gave of herself very, 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 without holding back. And she had something special about her. She had time for everyone. I mean, she built that politics team from nothing. And she's someone who just reaches out. Whenever you need Tshidi, she's going to be there. Yeah. So I really believe that her legacy is going to live on, because if you look at politicking, those interviews are classic. And I mean, it's still hard for the team, it's still hard for everyone, it's still hard for the larger Prime Media family and South Africans at large, even the world, because I mean, she's really made her mark globally.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I noticed that you're still battling with this whole idea of talking about Tshidi in the past.
Absolutely.
Zikhona, all of us still are battling with that idea.
Absolutely, absolutely battling. And Thulas, you'll know with the nature of our industry, the show must go on. And what's been triggering, I think, for us mostly in the newsroom is the fact that as much as this is happening to our team at this time, we absolutely must go on. You see her on the TV screens. Every second press release that comes through is about Tshidi and her passing. And just to touch on the question that you'd asked now about whether we're surprised, absolutely not. Tsidi's robustness that you're seeing in that video, it is just a testament to who she was in her craft, but the fact that you have people literally from all walks of life. I mean, this week we even had Joburg City Power sending their heartfelt condolences for Tshidi Madia, and I think that's just testament to the fact that even when she would be doing her work as a journalist, she always did it, with being just, being fair, being objective, and I think that's why people can come at this time and say, you know what, I know that this person was amazing at her job. At times she was intimidating, as Uvukile had said, but we know the impact that the work that she was doing had.
Yeah. Tshamano Makhadi, come in here, please. Just your own reflections on what made Tshidi a journalist par excellence, in the manner that the tributes have been coming through, as I was saying, societal leaders across the board, in politics, media personalities, and colleagues. You've also paid tribute to her as SANEF. Just your own reflections on the life and career of Tshidi Madia.
No, thank you so much, Thulas. I must say a great loss it is that of our sister Tshidi Madia. The clip you've just played, I think it tells really the life of Tshidi Madia, and I know that most people encountered her or sort of became more aware of who she was after the visit of President Cyril Ramaphosa in the clip which you played, when she had to clarify some of the facts. And I think more than anything, it is really about her using journalism as an instrument to tell the truth. And if you think of the context of where we found ourselves as a nation, very difficult circumstances, and I was highly impressed, especially when asked the question, what is happening in South Africa? Instead, Tshidi asked, we are not supposed to be asking the question, what is happening? Instead, we should be asking, why is it that there are these rumors that have been peddled? And I think that was quite bold for me. And without doubt, Tshidi showed that indeed a role of journalists is important, particularly in a situation where we were finding ourselves as a nation. But beyond that, Thulas, I think Tshidi, beyond the fact that she was an excellent reporter and analyst of note, she was also a mentor. I mean, there are young people. I was just looking at some of the pictures as you're playing them there. Alpha Ramshwana amongst that team. As you know, my association as well with the Tshwane University of Technology. These are some of the students who would have come through, our hands as a university. And that would also mean, by extension, we have a strong relations with industry. And this is where Tshidi, really comes in. And our relationship really, more than anything, was on that basis, that from time to time we will talk, whether it's about, young people getting into industry or stories which sometimes they find themselves working on. And I have absolutely no doubt that Tshidi has contributed greatly. And you can just see, I mean, if you think Alpha Ramshwana, for example. I mean, excellent reporter. And these are all young people who were mentored by her.
Yeah.
In a country where we need more and more journalists, particularly in the political space.
So let me share with you, all of you, just my own reflections. At some point, after the news filtered through for the radio show that I do on SAFM, I wanted to write out everything that I wanted to say. But as I started, I realized that actually I'm better off speaking from the heart, because it was going to be a very long thing. And the point of that story is, Zikhona, maybe you can come in here, in sharing what Tshidi meant to you as a person. Because I got the sense as I was trying to undertake that exercise that very rarely do you have one person meaning so much to so many people, right? Because my own reflections, at least the ones I've shared in public, were mostly professional. But then I started thinking about the personal, and I found out that there's countless stories to be told there as well.
First, I'm going to say you're very unfair because you couldn't capture it earlier in the week, and now you're asking me to do it. But I will try. I will really give it my best. You know, I've been struggling just thinking about how do you capture Tshidi, you know, the essence of who Tshidi was. What we're seeing here is her in the workplace, right? What the world got to see, what South Africa got to see. But us as people who worked with her daily got to know of her very loud laugh, her mischievous nature, her relentlessness in terms of how she wants the story to be approached, and how she wants the angles to be done, and all of those things. But what I will remember Tshidi mostly for is our walks in the corridors of Prime Media, talking about what's happening in the news, talking about life. She was somebody, and as Mr. Makhadi, I call him Mr. Makhadi, by the way, because he actually was my lecturer as well. So as Mr. Makhadi alluded to her being a mentor, you know, she was very, very passionate about making sure that we impart on the next generation of journalists. You know, us as well, we were also inspired by the likes of Mr. Makhadi here. You know, he's done TV, radio, he's done it all. We were inspired at some point, they mentored us, and I think she was very, very deliberate about, you know, throwing forward, paying it forward, making sure that you give over the baton. Your Alpha Ramshwanas, in fact, your whole political team, and not even just the politics team, but the entire newsroom. I mean, they are some of the youngest interns in the office right now, who, when Tshidi walks in, they know that if they're working on something that's politics related, that's the person that they want to go to, you know, because of that nature that she had of mentoring people. So I definitely think that's going to be something that will be missed. Yeah.
Gogo Vulisango, what did she mean to you? So many dimensions to this person. Among the other aspects that people are talking about, was her supportive nature. And I thought I was special. I thought that was reserved for me. The pep talks when things got, you know, when things got really rough, she would give me pep talks, and I thought, oh, that's just me and Tshidi thing. But I'm learning that this expanded beyond just me.
So when I first met Tshidi, we were both working for Media 24. So I was at City Press, she was at News 24. She moved to Power, I follow her. She moved to Prime Media, I follow her. And then she's like, why are you tailing me? I said, no, I want a piece of you. So Tshidi, like, I'm reiterating stuff that Mr. Makhadi and as the coin has just spoken to, she was one person who would lend that helping hand selflessly. And she will trust you. She trusts herself, so she would impart knowledge and leave it in your hands because she trusted people. So for me, to allow people, to give them leeway to express their creativity, it just shows you that she wants the fire out of you. That she believed in me. She really believed in me, and I feel like that's something you cannot take away from anyone. It's not about the big shot that she was. I mean, she was a jewel in the newsroom. However, she wanted to see the best in everyone, and that was too special for me.
Tshamano, let me bring you in and give you perhaps the parting shot in this conversation. And it's more on the professional side of things. One thing that struck me was her ability to to speak with authority, even when talking to those subjects that she would be covering. And I was remarking earlier on that she's one of those few journalists from whom I thought politicians could take both tough questions as well as admonitions when those were required. And I always envied that how is she able to say to Julius Malema, "Awa Julius, awa Julius." So tell me what it is that young upcoming journalists can extrapolate and take from the story and career of Tshidi Madia as they practice the craft going forward. That will make sure that they are both revered and feared in terms of the toughness of the questions, but at the same time respected enough that they can authoritatively call out wrong conduct when they see it.
No, thank you so much, Tulas. Please just pardon me.
Yeah.
I was trying to listen. My situation has sort of changed a bit where I am because there's a bit of noise now. But if I understand your question from a professional point of view, I think Tshidi was very professional. I mean, even when she had to deal with politicians, as difficult as some of those questions she would ask them, and as uncomfortable as some of those questions would make people feel, but somehow she would still find a way of bringing them closer to her and still be able to speak to her. And I think that on its own, Tulas, it really takes a special kind of a person. I mean, just make an observation now with the tributes that have been coming from almost all political parties. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is testament to what Tshidi was able to do. So you would not have a situation where she asked this person a question and all of a sudden they no longer want to speak to her. I mean, we have seen her throughout, whether you're talking with about her podcast, where she would ask very, very difficult question, very uncomfortable in some cases, but she would still have those people, coming back. And I think more than anything, quite frankly, it takes a special kind of a journalist, and that's who she was, Tshidi Madia.
All right, thank you for that, Tshamano. Let's leave it there. That's SANEF Deputy Chairperson Tshamano Makhadi, also in studio, joined by Zikhona Miso, as well as Gogo Vulisango, both of you from EWN. Our condolences once again to the team at EWN.